Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about PTSD. Specifically, we're going to talk about the three main types of therapy that the VA offers for veterans with PTSD. I've been through one of these types of therapy myself, so I have firsthand knowledge of how one of them works, but I wanted to make sure that you had the knowledge that you needed, and if you have PTSD or you think you have PTSD, please get help. Get help. It will help you work through some things. Even if it just gives you the tools just to work through and be able to survive those outbreaks or those flare-ups or whatever you want to call it when you get super stressed and those things start to crop up in your life. Please, I'm begging you, get help. If you can't get help from a therapist, find a veteran buddy of yours, make sure you get together with them, be honest with them, tell them what's going on. Hey, before I get started, please like, share, and consider subscribing to the channel. I'm trying to get the word out to more and more veterans. You guys have been awesome. I've come a long way in less than a year with regard to audience and regard to viewership, and I appreciate all of you. All right, let's jump into it. So, what is the impact of PTSD on veterans? Well, being that a lot of veterans are familiar with combat these days because of Afghanistan, because of the Gulf War that went on for 20 some odd years, right? So a lot of them are very familiar with that, but there's a lot more veterans that have a type of PTSD or MST, which we'll get into in just a second, and they've never been to war, but just because of the experiences they had while they were in, that they've got some post-traumatic symptoms out of the end of it, right? So there's that. There's anything that happened if you had a buddy die in the military, if you lost somebody, if you got beaten down all the time, or MST, military sexual trauma. If you were, forced, raped, anything like that, that type of sexual trauma, please go get help. Please go get help. I'm sorry that happened to you, but please go get help. All right, so there's three different types of therapy that the VA primarily tries to stick to when it comes to treatment for PTSD. The first one is called prolonged exposure therapy, PE therapy. It focuses on getting veterans to gradually move into and expose themselves to the trauma longer and longer periods of time for a very long period of time so that they can acclimate. I've heard that it is tough. I've not been through PE, but I've heard that it's extremely tough to go through. It involves imaginal exposure, which is basically you're going and closing your eyes and you're revisiting the memory and trying to visualize it, etc. Approaching, moving yourself into those traumatic experiences while you're still staying in a safe place. You're in a safe place when you're sitting in the therapist's office. That you're in a safe place when you're not actually living the trauma, but reliving it in your mind, man, that's rough. So PE, it takes about 8 to 15 sessions. There's lots of homework assignments. It's similar to, in homework wise, it's similar to what I went through, which is the next topic. But it emphasizes confronting all those things that you avoid. The thoughts, the situations, the being around the people, doing the things that, you were doing when the traumatic experience happened, all the things that trigger you back. It emphasizes confronting all of those, right? It's been, the VA has found it to be significantly helpful in reducing PTSD symptoms. And that's why they keep going through it. I think prolonged exposure is probably more helpful for combat veterans. I didn't get seen for combat PTSD, so I don't know, but I just thinking about the type, prolonging your exposure to something, kind of like immunotherapy. I had immunotherapy for allergies. Obviously didn't work too well because I still have all this drainage stuff, but thanks Gulf War, appreciate that. But I had immunotherapy, so I took shots once a day for 2 years. And eventually it felt like the symptoms were coming down. They never went away. And PTSD doesn't go away, but I was prolonged exposure. I had prolonged exposure to those allergens over and over and over in increasing doses until it ramped me all the way up to where it was going to help with those allergies. Now, has it worked for me long term? It's worked some for me long term. It's completely different because it's shots instead of mental therapy. But that psychological therapy, man, mine worked really good. So let's go. We had PE. We talked about the prolonged exposure. Now let's talk about CPT, cognitive processing therapy. I have an entire video series about every single one of my sessions. And it's 12 sessions long, 11 to 12 sessions long. It's focused on modifying and helping you understand your beliefs and your thoughts related to what happened, right? And so I had to learn to look at my circumstance as it's not my fault. It was not easy. It's still not easy. I still have those thoughts. But now I have some tools that help me, maneuver my way through some of those attacks. Some of those flare-ups per se of the memories and trigger things. Aircraft come over my house too low and my brain just shoots. It's gone, right? It's hard for me, but it's given me some tools to help a little bit. Some of the therapy for CPT, like I said, 12 sessions. Each one has homework, so be prepared for homework. I know veterans are not excited about hearing that there's homework. I can just tell you my experience. It helped me tremendously. And again, I have an entire video series on CPT. You have to write your impact statement. You have to challenge your unhelpful beliefs, such as it's my fault. I shouldn't have let this happen, or I'm a failure because of this, or it's just a way to get out of that mind frame. And believe me, I'm very aware the military sets that in you like stone, that type of mindset, right? That, hey, look at me, I'm solid as a rock, no problem, suck it up, buttercup type of stuff. But you can really get a lot out of going through PTSD. It alters your trauma-related thinking in ways where you can adapt better. Again, my PTSD has not gone away. Yours will not go away. It's with you for life. It's how you decide to handle it when it flares up, when it shows up, when it gets triggered. CPT has helped me very much so. At times, it helps a whole lot at times. Other times, it's just a matter of I feel like I need to go hide somewhere. So just be prepared for a lot of homework, 12 weeks. You're going to get into some really personal statements. You're going to have to read back some things to your therapist. It's not easy. It can be intense, but I highly recommend it. All right, third and final kind we're going to talk about is EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. It's bilateral stimulation, right? Such as eye movements. And it helps you facilitate the processing. It sounds science fiction-y almost, right? It's like, ooh, that type of thing where it helps you process things. There's 8 phases to it. There's some history taking, some preparation, there's an assessment, there's reprocessing with the bilateral stimulation, so stimulating your eyes. The highlight of this is that it's extremely effective in supporting emotional processing, right? It can help you really process those events. So EMDR, I haven't seen it used widely. It may be used widely. If you've been through it, please comment below. Let's keep the conversation going. I wish that I had more to help you with, but it is one of the methods, one of the 3 methods. So, all right, let's cover these one more time. You have PE, prolonged exposure, which is where you ramp up reliving the events per se. CPT, which teaches you how to process those feelings. And EMDR, which is, flashing lights and numbers and letters and different types of, eye movement, etc. That is supposed to really, really help you. So, again, if you have PTSD, please go get some treatment. If you want to talk more about this, hit me up in the comments. Let me know how I can contact you, and we'll talk some more. Check out my CPT series, and we'll talk to you again soon. Take care of each other. See ya.